Right, good evening. Obviously we know why we're here, because we're here for the awards. But it's also almost Christmas time. It's easy to forget that. So I thought as we were coming up to Christmas, we'd have a little chat about that as well, and a couple of other things before we get to the awards. Now, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed my food tonight. Did you enjoy your food?
Yes.
I had the beef, and I had a bit of turkey, I think. I got to say, I was really glad that there wasn't any of that reformed ham on the menu. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not some kind of left-wing loony, some veggie warrior. No offence to those that you are. Lyndon, you know I love you, mate. But I just can't bring myself to eat reformed ham, because I think slaughtering a pig after he's got his life back on track is just... You know, there's a couple of traditions in my house that we do every year. One of the traditions is the... I forgot what it is. One of the traditions is having pigs in blankets, or what you might call relatives in the spare room. The other tradition is the Christmas jumper, and well, I wouldn't mind so much, but it's always left to me to talk them down. Old man, is the camera working? I shouldn't really call him old man, it sounds a little bit disrespectful. He's schizophrenic, but he's good people. Do you know, I always had the impression when I was a little boy that he didn't really want me around. And to be honest, it started after he took me fishing, but it was more when I was swimming back ashore. And then this impression cemented itself with me after we went temping bowling. And again, it was when I was swimming back ashore. But I think the big difference with us is he's always been a man of very few words. I always remember the time he said to me, "Son, do you know when I was growing up, I spent more time with my mother. I was always hanging out with my mother. And I guess that's why, to be honest, I felt obligated to name my daughter after my mother." And incidentally, passive-aggressive psycho turned 23 this year. So, the reason I haven't been out competing this year, I come out a bit later on, and we'll talk about that afterwards, was more to do with having an accident, as people have said. And we were loading the car, and it all gets a bit boring, but I was left in a position where both my knees were out of joint, and I damaged my collarbone and my ribs, and I couldn't walk. But I wanted to tell you a few tips in case the same thing happens to you. So the first tip is when you go to the hospital, the method of transport isn't necessarily the best to go in the passenger seat of an MX-5. As I found when I got there with one leg behind my head and the other one facing the wrong way. But I wanted to go through some of the crazy questions that you get asked when you get to the hospital. So as I arrived, I had to go and get a wheelchair, and I got on the floor. We tried to lift me into the wheelchair. It was all a bit of a struggle. So she managed, with help from others, I think, to get me up to the door. Of course, it's the middle of a pandemic, so you can't just walk in. They assess you outside. So if you can imagine, I go up and I'm bloodshed, and my legs are facing in the wrong direction, and I'm all a mess. And the first question, she leant down towards the wheelchair, and she said to me, "What seems to be the problem?" I said, "Well, it seems that my limbs are on the wrong way round." So I went straight into the trauma clinic, as you can imagine, and I said goodbye to Emma, and off she went. So they took me in, I'm in the trauma clinic, and they laid me on the bed. I was on like a plastic board, and they strap your head down to the board because they're worried about your spine and everything, and they stripped me off right down to my underwear. Now this is the second tip I've got for you. Do you remember when you were a child and your mother used to say to you, always wear your clean underwear in case you get run over? It took me 45 years to learn the lesson. But I had, you know, we've all got them. I had a big baggy pair of underwear on, the ones with the, you know, the buttons missing off the fly and everything. They're the ones that I had on. And I brought them with me, actually, so I can show you, so you can picture the scene. So, this is the underwear I had on. actually, that's the Wednesday evening underwear. So, this is my baggy pants that I had on. So if you picture the scene, now I was lying on the trolley, and I was in a corridor, I think, for over an hour, and I was freezing cold. I was shaking. I had blood over me, and my legs behind my head, and I was strapped down and everything. And that's when I had the second question, when a nurse came up to me and leant over towards me, and she said to me, "Are you comfortable?" So I said, "Well, if you could just pop my left testicle back in my baggy pants, everything would be great, thanks very much." I did eventually get taken onto the ward, and while I was on the ward waiting to be assessed, it was dead silent. But then I realised, every time I heard footsteps, which I presume was a nurse because I was strapped on the bed, the bloke opposite me, I could hear him making groaning noises. Oh, no, and so I managed to catch a glimpse of him, and I thought, hang on, his limbs are all pointing in the right direction. I'm not having this. He was bidding to get the attention first. So I thought, next time the nurse comes through, I'll outdo him. So when I heard the footsteps come, off he went. Oh, so I went twice as much. Ah! But within about 10 minutes, the whole ward had cottoned on, right? So it was like a scene from The Walking Dead. Ah! All the way through the wall. But I did eventually get the attention I needed, and the nurse and the doctors all come to my attention. And then that's when I had the third question, I think it is. The third question. So they come up and they said to me, "How do you rate the pain?" I thought, rate the pain? So I was like, yeah, 5 stars and 2 thumbs up for the pain. It's great. So they said, no, you don't understand. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate the pain? Now this is the biggest tip, because you've got to be really careful how you answer this question. Bear in mind, I'm in an NHS hospital during a pandemic. If you answer 1, 2 or 3, you get given a vitamin and you get shown the door, right? I wanted to say 10, to be honest. I was in a lot of pain. But you can't say 9 or 10. 9 and 10 are reserved by the ladies, because apparently having babies is painful. So I went with an 8. But as soon as I said 8, I regretted it straight away. Because as I said, oh, I think I'm an 8, I said. So the doctor turned to the nurse and he said, "Give it morphine." And I thought, hang on, morphine? That's the stuff they gave that bloke on Saving Private Ryan before he died. I thought, I don't want that. So I said to him, "Oh, I've made a big mistake. I'm only a 6, I'm only a 7 at the worst. I've been knocking about with a lot of English people lately, see that? So I got it wrong and I got my 7. He eventually gave me the morphine anyway. And I got to be honest, I don't know if you've ever had morphine, but morphine's really good. And within about 10 minutes, I was like a cross between Cheech and Chong. And they were taking me down for other x-rays and this type of thing. And as they were wheeling me around on the thing, I was all off my face and stuff on this morphine. And I was fist pumping the other patients and calling them all bro and all this type of thing. And then I was saying, I'm an 8 to them. And they were saying, yeah, I'm an 8 too. Because I felt sorry for the 4s and 5s as I passed them and they were crying into their pillows. As evidence to show you. After you have the morphine, however much pain you're in. So of course the real recovery begins when you get home. So I got back home and I couldn't do anything for a long while. I was sofa bound. But it wasn't until I was home and Emma, my wife, was working at home that I came to realise just how lazy she is. Now, I know that sounds awful, doesn't it? But I'm amongst friends, so I'm going to tell the truth. Honestly, I swear to you, we haven't had a clean dish in our house since the dog died. But to be fair to her, it's not really her fault, it's more of a family trait. Her brother, for example, he's so lazy, I even had to have his kids for him. But I'm lucky really, because I almost married my ex-girlfriend, Lucy. And so I am very like, it didn't work out. She's a parachutist with IBS, but she shat on me from a great height, so that didn't work out. But in all seriousness, if you could first toast to the evening, if you'd like to raise your glasses, and ask to Emma, my best mate. Now the next subject is slightly touchy, right? It's not the sort of subject that you bring up in polite company, so obviously I don't need to worry about that tonight. But it's not the sort of subject you bring up in front of your mother and father, so it's a bit awkward in that respect. And that is, when you've got broken bones and you can't walk and this type of thing, it's really difficult to perform sexually. So I tried to convince Emma to sexually stimulate me with a key ring, but she just kept fobbing me off. I bought myself a DVD, right? And it was about improving foreplay. But I wouldn't recommend it to any of you. You have to fast forward it to get to the good part. But if you do want to lend it, see Mike Bebb, because I lent it to him about 3 months ago, and I haven't had it back.
You got it, John. You got it.
I did find some programmes on TV, similar subjects, and then it said that there were other programmes. They were like G-spots and this type of thing, and it said that there was more information and more programmes available on the little red button, but I couldn't find it. And so the other thing that drove me nuts this year was all the wokeness and the equality and this type of thing. It was really in your face, you know, from the media, and it really got on my nerves. And, you know, while I subscribe to a certain level, I'm not down with it that much, you know. Like any of the ladies here tonight can all go to toilet in pairs, no problem. But when I tried it, I had a lifetime ban from the greengrocers. I missed a page. I thought it wasn't working out. So, if I go back in time slightly, I was back in the house and I'm stuck on the sofa and I didn't have anything to do. So I thought, I'll get the garden done. I saved a couple of quid, I'll get a landscape gardener. So I called him round, but unfortunately he couldn't help me because my garden's a portrait. My neighbour, I noticed, he had a penis extension, but now his house just looks really ridiculous. And so what I did do is hopefully this is in the right order, I started concentrating, yes it worked, yeah, I started concentrating on our club YouTube channel. Now, at the start of the year, we set ourselves a goal of getting more subscribers and more videos, and throughout the year we had to reset it 3 times because we kept, you know, exceeding each goal. Now, I can't emphasise how much, like it's only like, you know, a daft YouTube channel at the end of the day, but not that many years ago, if a club or a sport wanted to advertise and reach the amount of people that it's capable of reaching, it would cost so much money that clubs would never be able to afford to do it. And it's free. So we need to grasp it with both hands and then get younger people and new people involved in the sport. And I can tell you that we've got 3 new members and 3 new entries into the club championship that had never heard of hill climbing and sprinting before they found us on YouTube and started watching people on the... What my vision is for the channel is not just for members, but for any competitor anywhere or anybody with an interest in the sport to be able to upload onto the channel, for it to be the #1 channel to upload related videos and to grow our sport. It's only starting really, but it needs everybody's participation in order to make it, you know, bigger. So that's my overall plan for it. Do you know, even the young attractive couple across the road from me have got involved. They've made a sex tape. Obviously they don't know yet. No, it's only hill climbing and sprint related videos, obviously. And so I'd like to mention somebody else now, and so it's the second toast of the evening. If all the normal people, if you just want to have a sip, but then if there's any alcoholics amongst us, if you want to down your drink, then feel free. But the second toast that I would like to raise a glass to is Lindsay Lewis. And the reason being is, on top of all the normal jobs that she's been doing this year, she's also taken on the role as treasurer, and I know she's been working really hard at it, so cheers. Did you know? You're about to find out. So Lindsay got a new horse this year. You did, honest. It's called Treacle. It's got golden stirrups. Come on. That's one of my best ones. But she's really disappointed with it. She hasn't even ridden it once. It won't come out the stables because it's a Shire horse. And that is the third horse joke on the trot. And so, I have to say, tonight, I've made a few, Andrew kept looking over there then, I thought Look at me for that, Andrew. Right now, actually. I've said a couple of jokes at the English tonight. They weren't aimed at the English per se, they were directly aimed at Andrew Biscuit. Okay?
So kind, Paul. So
that's
kind.
okay. And so I'll finish this section where I'm trying to make you laugh with just saying that, yes, I am proud to be a Welshman, obviously, but I'm also proud to be British. I'm no xenophobe and I'm no racist. I love the English, it's the French that I hate. So, of course, it got a bit depressing being stuck in the house, but what really came to the forefront and to the rescue, really, was the club and the club members, and that's because the spectators weren't allowed in most places, depending on which side of the bridge you were and all the rest of it. But I was invited along by quite a lot of you. If I've left someone out, you'll have to forgive me, but I was invited by Andrew, Lyndon, Wyn Edwards, Buddy, John, Lloyd, and I put and others to cover myself, like, right? And it meant a lot to me and the old man to be able to come out at a time when there was obviously no spectators, and my Beba Castlecombe, just see what the corner of my eye, to take photos and do videos, and to still be part of the season was fantastic, so thanks very much. And so we got a I've lost my track, sorry. Oh yeah, so I got another toast to do now, you'll be glad to know. And they're sitting in the right order. So, the next toast that I'd like to do, but first of all I'd like to tell you a bit of a story, which isn't the nicest of stories, Lloyd, you're not meant to laugh. One of our club members, Graham, had a really nasty fall. Lyndon was speaking about it earlier on, and it was quite nasty, banging his head, and he was bleeding quite badly. Lyndon was at his side immediately, and I went and got a marshal. But there's a chap, I don't know if the rest of you know him, Billy Baxter, and he competes in a 205. He works for the emergency services. First of all, I think that we're really fortunate that we compete in a sport where we've got trained volunteers and paramedics at hand, because they were great, weren't they, Lyndon? Yeah. You know, they were really good. They looked after Graham. But and you know what it's like at Shelsley, how packed the paddock is. And Graham was in quite a nasty way. And fortunately, with Billy's training, he was able to clear the paddock, and he took control. He's quite a soft-spoken kind of chap, but when he needed to be, he was direct, I tell you. And he administered first aid to Billy, and he cleared the area, and he got everyone in there. And as far as I'm concerned, if you look after one club member, we're all in debt to him. So, Mr. Billy Baxter.
Hey, Billy Baxter.
And whatever comes up next is what I'm going to speak about. Andrew. This is the point where I was being invited to events. And so one of the first events that I was invited to, yes, Andrew, I know it's not the picture from the event, I couldn't find one. I could only find videos.
You had one job.
Was from Kerborough, yeah, that's true, yeah. From Kerborough. And then it went from there, then I started getting invited to other events. I think it was behaviour based.
I just passed you on to other people.
Yes. Andrew, oh, I tell you what then, Andrew. Andrew set out to score his first FTD this year, and he failed. But he did really well, and he had some great battles. Was it second or third overall your best, Andrew?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of seconds and a couple of thirds, I think.
There you are then.
But,
So,
but they don't count, do they? Because it wasn't first.
yeah, but it was the second overall. It was good. And it was good to be invited and be part of it. And then we come to being out with John Morgan. Now, John is at the back. Can you stand up for me a minute, John?
It won't make a lot of difference.
There he is. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, I think he's a fine-looking gentleman. Do you all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, do you all agree? Yeah. Well, in my mind, that car is the most beautiful car in any of the paddocks. It's absolutely stunning. But I think it's absolutely disgusting how John was treated this year. That car, yes, call it a beauty, but to call car and driver Beauty and the Beast, it's not on. It's not on. Now, just so you're aware, in case there's any eligible ladies in the room, John is single and ready to mingle. But if you don't get an eligible lady tonight, Brian the club master is also available. So we got you back, John, all right, mate? And then there's some pictures, obviously, of the paddock and being worked on. And there's Toby, which is John's mate who looks after his car for him. There's our own Spuddy. I should have said that you're probably all aware, but Spuddy can't be with us tonight because he's had surgery. He's had a quadruple bypass, and so he's recovering at home. So he can't be with us, but if we can, we'll try and get him on the phone later, won't we? On a whatever you call those things. Video. That Molly does for me. Now, I don't know if it's just me, right? But John is far easier on the eye in this picture. It's more like Beauty and the Beauty, isn't it? And there's a couple of other faces that you might see here tonight sat at the back, or one face that you'll see at the back anyway. And then there's the three of us. Now, I know it looks like we've spent about 4 days in Amsterdam, but we are actually sober in our photos. And then, all right, we've already seen that photo, but it's worth looking at again, isn't it? Because it's such a nice car. And now I've got to find where I am again. Yeah. The next thing that I wanted to speak to you about was the HSA Kerborough event. And the last couple of years, the club have had an invitation to the HSA event in Kerborough. This year it was October the 9th and the 10th. I think it's roughly the same every year. So it's a 2-lap on the one day and a figure of 8 on the next day. This year we took 4 competitors, and me and the old man went to photograph and video, and it was a really good event, or I like to think it was. If you speak to the people who were there, I'm sure they'll vouch to how good an event it is. What I like about Kerborough is the spectators are able to camp and park where you can spectate and see the event. And so I'd like to, because it's a rolling invitation that we've got, and we've been invited back because of the conduct of our members, because they've done so well, that I'd like to take at least 8 cars back there next year to concrete our position so that we keep getting invited back. But I'd like to see it become an annual club outing, whether we're competing or whether we're just camping over and looking after, supporting the other people that are competing. And so I think it's a great event, and I think, you know, it'd be good to carry on supporting it. And there's just some of the pictures from the event there. So there's Gordon giving it the beans out the bottom hairpin, and then you've got Kieran in his OMS. You've got Dean Cubitt, who went well. Apparently he had the wrong diff for the event or something, but he went well nonetheless. And then there's BTR, or Rob Thompson, as his birth name would say he was called. Now it's interesting to note, excuse me, on this event, Rob Thompson won, as Lyndon was saying earlier, he won the HSA Championship, but not according to Andrew Bisping. Because when I put a picture of me and Rob onto Facebook to congratulate him, within seconds he messaged back and he said, provisionally. And then when I went with Mike then and Dad and Lyndon to Castle Coombe, and there was a live feed there, they announced him, I saw it on the video when I got home, to be honest, but they announced him as being the HSA champion, and then they said, oh, we've just had a text message from and it's only provisionally the champion, but I can confirm he is definitely the champion. So you've got to take it back now, Andrew. He is the champion. And it was quite spectacular to see, but it was Kieran's first event at Kerbra, and he went quicker and quicker each time, and I'll speak about that a bit later on, but as you can see, he's lifting the wheel coming out the bottom there, and it was really good fun to watch. And I'm not quite sure why Gordon's been left on his own in the paddock. It seems that everybody's deserted him. I'm not sure, it might have been first thing in the morning when I took that, I can't really remember, to be honest. And then there's all hands on deck with Kieran's car. Do you notice, Andrew, that I'm being kinder to Kieran than I am to you?
I had noticed that.
Because they got the same car, but I normally call yours a go-kart. But I haven't said that about Kieran so far. I've left a part of my thing out. Oh, what a shame. Right. Well, be patient, because I'm not ready yet. But I should have done it earlier on. And leave it out. And so it brings me round to telling you that none of the championship would be possible. We wouldn't have the trophies that we have for the championship unless we were able to get sponsorship. And that sponsorship comes from Kidwelly Tyre Centre or from Paul Davis. And without it, it wouldn't be possible. So I want Paul to come up here, please. And so, for everyone in the championship, the club, and everyone else that you want to think of, thank you very much. And so that brings us, I think, to the start of the awards. Yeah, it does. We've got third, second and first place in 2 championships, right? Obviously it'd be a bit weird if we had 4th, second and first or something, wouldn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 3rd in the mini championship, 3rd in the main championship and so on, and we're going to do it in that order. But to do it, I thought all the names are written in the envelopes here. And Paul's going to open the envelope, read out who it is, but I thought it needs to be a little bit more exciting than that. So what I need is a volunteer who's an Englishman who plays the drums and drives an OMS. Have we got anyone? We got Andrew. Come on up, Andrew.
Lock the doors.
No, Steve Paul.
No pressure.
Do you call these drumsticks? Do you call these drumsticks?
I don't know, you're the drummer. Actually, he's not actually the drummer, because officially the committee haven't decided whether he's the drummer. So tonight, you're not running away. Tonight, he's the drummer in brackets provisional. Do you think he looks the part? Yeah. I don't. Now he looks the part. So are you ready, Paul?
I'm a lead.
And so what we're going to do, Andrew's going to try and make a noise on the drum. Paul's going to open the envelopes and reveal who the winner is. I suppose we can clap if we want to, right? And then I'm going to say a few words about why I think they've done so well, or not. And then we'll call you to come up and collect your trophy. You happy? Do you know what you're doing now, Andrew?
I'm hanging on the drum.
And so, first of all, 3rd place in the mini championship.
Very strong blue.
Third place, Win Edwards.
Well done, Win. No, hang on, I'm going to say something about you first. And I'm going to show some pictures. Now, it was difficult to show pictures of Win because he's got so many cars. So what we've done is we got a picture of them all.
Yeah, but that's not Lady Street.
His car is on there somewhere. I'm not quite sure why it come out so small, but it's a mini. He's a really experienced driver, is Win. In fact, he used to work as an instructor on tracks, and that's really evident when I was at Landau with him, and I could see how smooth and accurate he is, and I think that's why he does so well, is his smoothness and his accuracy. I always remember when, a few years ago, when I was running the 205, Win said to me, I wish I drove more aggressively. And I said at the time, and I still maintain, that I think he's wrong. And I think that he's got the right driving approach, which is accuracy and smoothness pays off. So 3rd place in the mini championship, Win. Well done, mate. And so we come to 3rd place in the main championship. Andrew.
I'm going slow.
Stop using your head.
Gordon Hick.
Well done, Gordon. Gordon, being one of the most appreciated drivers and well-known drivers, anywhere you go, everybody knows who Gordon is and everybody loves Gordon, although his hats are a matter of taste. Now, Gordon is always super impressive off the line, and I found out earlier that I had one of these wrong, because he's actually done the 64 foot in under 2 seconds, but I have here that he did Shelsley 64 foot in 2.05, and after seeing how impressed I was with John in his Anglia. You did 2:18, I think, wasn't it? And I watched him go up, I was super impressed. My mouth was on the floor when I saw Gordon go up in a production car and under 2 seconds. Where else was it, Gordon? Loughton, isn't it? In Loughton Park, under 2 seconds, 64 foot. So it's evident why he does so well. So third place.
We'll wait till you go to
Thank you very much.
What we forgot about again, we keep forgetting every year, we were both going to say tonight, and we forgot again, was some point tonight, can everybody that's won a trophy, can we all get together for a photo, for a group photo? Because Wyn will shout at me if he hasn't got a photo to put on the website. Earlier on, before I keep you hanging on a bit longer, I feel terrible now because Wyn is there. Can I just say that running the championship has been made so much easier because of the work that Wyn has done on the website. Now, instead of having to post me stuff, send me stuff, you can fill in what event you were on, what class you were in, what position you came, direct on the website, and it automatically, like with some wizardry, gets sent to my laptop, and it's all thanks to Wyn. So, well done, thank you, mate. And so, that's this side. Second place in the mini championship.
Baxter.
I haven't asked you to go anywhere yet. Sit down, please. I wasn't joking, mate. That's obviously Lloyd in his car at Shelsley, and what an event that was. That was another one of the events that it was a pleasure to go and see Lloyd. Lloyd always competes hard, and he's like the most aggressive driver that I've ever competed against, and he's always quick, whether he's in front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. He's always at the top of the class, and for a long time we competed in the same class, and we got to a point where we were so competitive between the two of us. I can remember going for food one evening and I was stuffed, I couldn't eat anymore, and Lindsay said, well, just if you don't want it, just leave it. And I said, I can't leave it because Lloyd's only left a little bit, I can't leave more than that. And so, while it pains me to compliment him, I think that Lloyd is one of the most naturally talented drivers in the club, and so it's a real honour to give him second place in the championship. Now you can come up.
I would say it's almost as big as you are.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. And then we come to second place in the main championship. Now, I just want to note, I don't know whether this makes people feel better or worse, but the positions now, well, all the way through, but especially like in the main championship, there was literally 1 point between first, second, and a point between third place as well. So, second in the main championship.
Lyndon Evans.
What thoroughly impressed me about Lyndon's performance, well, not just the one thing, lots of things that impressed me with Lyndon. And as you can see, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, he knows that I don't really mean any offence, whatever his political leanings are, that he's out and he's in a standard 1400 car, which is a budget vehicle. He knows that I don't mean that rude, which is a great advert for the club and for the sport, that he can come along and he can compete on circuits, on hills, and he can do well. He's done so well that he had second place in the main championship, and it's got to be a good advert to get people involved in the sport. Lyndon is probably one of the most reliable blokes that I know, and as he really is an ambassador of this club. Wherever he goes, onto any of the circuits, the hills, you know that if you want a representative, Lyndon's there. You don't need to worry because Lyndon's your man. It's, of course, if it's only Andrew there, you start to worry. But with Lyndon, it's a completely different thing. So he's done really well. But for me this year, he disagrees, to be honest, but for me this year, I thought his most impressive drive was at Loughton Park. The other drives are good as well, I'm not saying that, but at Loughton Park, when you consider the car he's in, on the tyres that he's in, I defy anybody to get in the same 1400 car and go quicker, much quicker, if quicker at all, than what Lyndon did on that day. So well done, Lyndon.
And it didn't mention the turbocharger. Thank you.
Well done, mate. And so, we come to our two champions of the night. The champion in the mini championship and the champion, obviously, in the main championship. And so, without further ado, first place in the mini championship.
I like the finish.
Kieran Thomas.
Now, what thoroughly impressed me this year with Kieran, this is Kieran's first year in the club, first year in the championship, and the first year he's competed in the car. So what a massive achievement. So he deserves a second round of applause. Which I forgot to give, sorry. There you go, sorry Kieran. I'd spoken to Kieran throughout the year, on Messenger and whatever you call these things, but I actually met him at Kerborough. He was one of the drivers that represented the club at Kerborough. He's not only a quick driver, but he should have been up here telling the jokes tonight because he's one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. So if you don't know Kieran, you need to go and see him later on because you'll have a right laugh. He really is a good laugh. At Kerborough, he kept going quicker and quicker and quicker on each run, and I think that he ended 6th overall on the one day, which is no mean task when you haven't been to a circuit before. There's a couple of other things though, but I'm going to have to mention him. Sorry, mate. He's the only driver I know to go to Kerborough and to go round the top hairpin 3 times instead of twice, and for the marshals to not notice and flag him and still score a time. So it was massively impressive. He did have a minor damage and a puncture, but what was impressive was not the fact that he made a mistake and he went off, but he was man enough to say, I know what I done wrong, I made a mistake and this is where I went wrong. He didn't let it bother him at all. He just carried on with his weekend, and I think that's the mark of a true sportsman. And so I got a couple of videos on it. I joined them actually, but this is testing at Landau, and then it goes into when he competed at Kerborough, and then you can see for yourself just how quick he is. this is him performing then at Kirkbride.
Is he in his electric car?
So, sorry mate, but I just had to show that even champions get it wrong sometime. And so, well done Kieran. Come on mate, come and get your trophy. And don't go yet.
Paul,
Stop
I'm going to
it.
skip one. Back. Oh. That's it.
How would you call it?
Click it.
Didn't see it. He's not here. As mini champion, you also get the mini shield, which you bring back in 1 year. You might win it again, you never know. Well done, mate. Well deserved.
Done.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, Andrew. Somebody's not losing the provisional brackets. We're just trying to get someone on the phone a minute. Are you doing it on WhatsApp?
No, Facebook.
Yeah, it is. Hiya, you're right.
Right, turn him
Turn him
around
out.
then.
Okay. Remember how. Bang on.
If we did it on the computer, it'd be on the screen.
Huh?
If we
Wait a
did
minute.
it with the computer, we'd
Yeah,
be
it
on
would've
the
worked, wouldn't
screen.
Yes, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but I want to show something.
Oh, wait a minute. What's that one? Can you see me? Right, wait a minute. Can you see Paul? There we are, Paul. Off you go.
Oh, very good. Okay, so we come to the last award of the evening. Andrew Bisping, for the purposes of those on the phone that don't know what's going on, is the drummer in brackets provisional doing the drum roll. And Chairman Paul is seeing who the new main championship 2021 is. So, come on, Andrew.
Anthony Spuddy Bailey.
So our new 2021 main championship winner is Anthony Spuddy Bailey. Well done, Spud.
Show him the trophy.
Yeah, we'll show him the trophy. And
Here it is. You got it. What am I? You're right for me.
there he is.
Hey,
How's that? All right, mate? Well done, mate. These are for you. Congratulations. We can't hear what you're saying, mate.
Hey, only lock your phone.
Okay, will do.
No song do we told me. I phoned you 3 times. I said, yeah, I've seen
Okay,
3 messages.
will do.
Why do you answer then? How the fuck do they answer it? I don't know how to do it, man. No,
Getting better by the day.
I don't know how to get them on the phone to see you.
Spuddy wants to say thank you to everybody for coming, and that I think he's saying that he's happy. I can't really hear what he's saying. I presume that he's happy. We're going to show some videos of you now, Spud. He said okay. Yay! He's happy with that. Now, I made some notes, so I'm going to go through them before you get your videos. Spuddy competes in the road rally car class, so he's had to make changes to his car this year, which has made it especially hard because of the tyre choice, which emphasises how well that he's done competing because he's been at such a disadvantage. So there's the first one of you, Spud. It's just a picture of your mum, mate. And now the second one is his run up Shelsley. Now this run up Shelsley that he done will always be memorable for me because he was 1.3 seconds quicker than the previous runs, and we weren't expecting it, and so we had massive like manhunts and jumps up and down in the paddock. Do you remember that, Spud? Yes, he said he remembers it well. He really enjoyed it. He just told me.
Them two over there.
On the eye. Fucking on the eye. You alright, Spud? Good.
Make the power to 240. Mix the power there.
Is I want you to demonstrate his car control, and this is at Anglesey, and nobody's got car control like Spuddy in my opinion. He's just a pleasure to watch, and so enjoy.
Hey mate, how are you? Fancy looking well? Well, a bit of a shock that you went well, but let's see what you're about. I didn't realise you were that quick in a car. Look forward to seeing you soon. See you next year. Take care.
And so Emma's just bringing round some party poppers. Speed it up a bit, and so we got 2 massively worthy champions this year, and obviously Kieran Thomas, Anthony Spuddy Bailey. Once she's finally got round everyone, we'll do a countdown and we'll honour both our new champions and everybody else that's competed. And I'll come back next year and compete again. So the 2021 2 champions, Kieran Thomas and Anthony Spuddy Bailey. Well done both.
Paul, can I give you this drum back? Just need to give Paul his drum back.
I think you should play a tune on it.
Earlier on, he talked about political correctness and wokeness, and what I've realised is how fantastic he is with sustainability, which is going to be a trend for 2022. So having used these on the drum, I'd just like to give him his COVID testing swab.
Andrew Bisping, drummer in brackets provisional. Thank you very much. Next year he won't be provisional.